Welcome to the Successful Nonprofits Bonus Break. I'm your host, Dolph Goldenberg. The bonus break is a short episode you can listen to while taking a coffee break and get the added bonus of making you and your nonprofit more successful. Produced as a companion to our longer Successful Nonprofits podcast, the bonus break covers all of the topics you care most about: professional development, fundraising, governance, board relations, marketing, tech, and more. This is the final segment of our strategic planning series, and I have really enjoyed putting this series together. There are 9 episodes behind us, and this, as I said, is the last. It's the 10th and the last one. Now that you fully understand the resources necessary to plan, our final episode in this series will discuss overcoming the most common objections to strategic planning. Objection number 1, and it's probably the one that I hear most often, is a board member or executive will say, "No one does strategic planning anymore." Whenever I hear this objection, I ask the person to share the name of one nonprofit that has enjoyed sustained growth and impact without a strategic plan. I don't quite say it this way to them, but surely, if no organizations are using strategic planning anymore, then it must certainly be easy to find many examples of thriving organizations without strategic plans. But you know what, for the most part, people are not going to be able to identify that organization for you. That's about the point that I also note that a lot of organizations have responded to a more rapidly changing environment by developing tactical plans that are just 12 to 24 months long. But these tactical plans move the organization toward a strategic direction and are, in fact, an important component of strategic planning. If you think back in the series, we talked about the tactical plans necessary to achieve the annual goals and the big bold goal. Objection number 2, I hear this one a lot. We didn't use the last strategic plan, so doing a new one is a waste of time. Now, the only way to overcome this legitimate objection is to jointly, with the person that's making the objection, identify the reasons that the last plan was not used. After documenting these reasons, work together to develop a plan for addressing the issues. As an example, you and the person who's made the objection may determine that the most recent plan was not implemented due to a lack of tactical accountability. And so then you and the board need to agree that any new plan would have to assign goals and tactical objectives to a specific person within the organization. So again, the point is find out why the last plan was not used and make sure that you have created a strategy for using the next plan that you will be developing. Objection number 3, and for me this one does not hold a lot of water, and that's when someone says, "We just don't have the time to plan." Setting an organization's strategic direction and ensuring that there is a realistic plan for moving toward or achieving that strategic direction is a core governance function. And it is just as important as hiring the executive director, evaluating the executive director, or ensuring financial accountability. So just as a board must make time to review the executive director each year and ensure that financial procedures are being followed, it must also find the time to establish the organization's strategic direction and ensure there is a plan that moves us in that direction. Objection number 4 is we can't afford a consultant to help with strategic planning. This is a prime opportunity to engage your board members in fundraising and start by asking that you all brainstorm fundraising options for raising the additional funds necessary to hire a consultant to do your planning. Now, this brainstorm will undoubtedly uncover your most steadfast foundation supporters and major donors that can contribute to your planning process, but also get the board to work on brainstorming opportunities that they can take action on. So that way you can ask for their help in executing these fundraising opportunities. Objection number 5 is we have more important priorities right now. And you know what? Sometimes this is a legitimate objection. If the organization is experiencing a crisis or a leadership transition, it may be better to postpone strategic planning for 6 months. Now, if the more important priorities involve a gala that's happening in 3 or 6 months down the road, then you probably need to go back to objection number 3, which is we don't have the time, because this is a core governance function. Those are the 5 most common objections to strategic planning. When you start the conversation with the board about strategic planning, you want to be prepared for these objections. While it's not a complete list of all possible objections, it probably represents the majority of objections you might hear from board members and senior staff. As I said, this is the last bonus break in this strategic planning series. Next week, we will return to those one-off bonus breaks where we handle a topic and we're done with it in 8 to 12 minutes. But I hope that this series has just been super helpful for you. If you missed an episode or you want to hear one again, they can all be listened to as standalone episodes at successfulnonprofits.com. We have also serialized them as blog posts, so you can read them if you're a more visual learner. This bonus break and the Successful Nonprofits podcast is produced by the Goldenberg Group as part of our mission to provide board development, strategic planning, and interim leadership to help nonprofits thrive in a competitive environment. Be sure to visit our podcast website at successfulnonprofits.com or find me, Dolph Goldenberg, at goldenberggroup.com on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And if you think your organization is ready to begin strategic planning, reach out to me. We are recording this episode in spring 2018, and I am currently booking new engagements to begin midsummer. Thanks so much for joining us for this bonus break, and I hope you gained insight to help your nonprofit thrive in a competitive environment.
I am not an accountant or attorney, and neither I nor the Goldenberg Group provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. This material has been provided for informational purposes only, is not intended to provide, and should not be relied on for tax, legal, or accounting advice. Always consult a qualified, licensed professional about such matters.